Here we have a 2011 Lexus ES350. Now, this V6 engine, Toyota refers to it as the 2GR-FE. And this has been a real successful engine, I think, for Toyota. Here they've gone from the rubber cog belt to a conventional style timing chain. Here we see the dual overhead cam configuration. Here we see coil on plug, ignition. Now this is a port fuel injected engine. So there we see our intake manifold port style fuel injectors. Now we do have the variable valve timing system on this. And there we see the two control solenoid for both the intake and the exhaust camshafts. And there we see one of the oil supply ports and pipes. Notice that they're favoring the plastic intake manifold. Nothing wrong with that. Here we see that electrically actuated flap mechanism, and this seems to work nicely. Doesn't seem to have a whole lot of problem there with the Toyota. I think though that on this particular model though this kind of comes as an assembly with the intake manifold. Here we see our throttle body, and which is pretty much standard equipment on cars, I guess, over the last 16-17 years, is where instead of having conventional throttle cable, we actually use a type of servo motor to control the throttle valve. This is in response to obviously the potentiometer down there at the accelerator pedal, and of course the powertrain control module hiding back here on the firewall is going to be in control of that. Now, we just did the transmission in this vehicle. This is a 6-speed automatic transmission, very popular one with Toyota and Lexus, and it's called the U660E. And this was a good rebuild. It shifts very smoothly, very quiet. Now, of course, when we're looking at this engine, we notice that we have the torque strut up here at the top, and I have a large motor mount down here in front of the engine transmission. Now, this motor mount is a little unusual because it has an accelerometer and a valve that's controlled by a solenoid. And what the idea here is that I'm trying to smooth out the vibration of the motor through the motor mount there at idle and low engine speed under load. Now, the transmission is supported by a large mount here in the back of the transmission. So actually there are 3 points of contact. I have a large motor mount there at the back of the transmission. There we have a large motor mount which is actually bolted to the transmission. It's there going to support the engine transmission at the front. I have another motor mount down on the bottom there in front of the engine, and then we have this torque strut. Now, this vehicle is a used car. It's going to go on the front line here shortly. There's a lot of beauty covers here that belong, which will be of course carefully put back. Make sure that the battery is solidly held down. So it runs very smooth, very nice, no check engine lights, ready to go. Okay, here we are sitting inside our Lexus ES350 2011 model year. We have the proximity key, so actually you just leave it in your pocket. And here, in order to start the vehicle, I just push on the brake pedal and press the engine start button, and away she goes. And runs smoothly, very quiet, good fuel economy, shifts very smooth, no problem there. When we look at the automatic transmission, here we can of course select the gear. I notice that the door is locked as I immediately put it into reverse. There we have neutral, there we have drive, and then I have sport. And what sport allows me to do is kind of go through a gear that I select Now, of course, obviously it's kind of hard to start off in 6th gear, and if I want to go 60 miles an hour in 1st gear, that's probably going to be a problem as I peg the tack. However, the transmission controller, engine controller, it won't let me do that. Don't worry, won't let you do anything you shouldn't. But here, this is kind of I mean, a nice thing to play with if you're into that when you're driving along. If you want to shift gears, you can. And if you want to let the transmission controller do it all by itself, well, go ahead. And again, if you do something silly, something that would threaten the safety or the reliability or the mechanical integrity of the vehicle, it will prevent you from doing that. All right. Now I noticed that I have it set up here so when I put the transmission in park, it unlocked all the doors. That may not be desirable, but I believe there's a setting we can probably access to change that. Very nice car, very quiet, very smooth. You'll notice 190,000 miles, but it's ready to go another 190,000. The engine was well maintained with this fresh transmission. No reason why we can't take off for another life, at least another 10 years. Interior is relatively good shape, a little bit dirty, but our detailing department will take care of that. And so this will be a good car for somebody.